Should I sit?
Sure.
So, welcome everybody. My name's Rita Lapatine. As you know, I'm Steve's sister. And I'm also a full-time software developer at Lucian and a part-time graduate student at Rochester Institute of Technology studying human-computer interaction. And my capstone thesis is Mobile Augmented Reality's Impact on the Visitor Experience at the Bergen Swamp, which is an outdoor living museum. I want to discover if using mobile augmentation will give visitors a more engaging, innovative, and enjoyable experience. So I'll start with talking about museums, different types of museums, talk about augmented reality, the technology, how it's used today, how we're going to use it, the Pocock exhibit, and the path north. So a museum, according to Flood, is an institution that collects, preserves, and exhibits material for the public. And the Rochester Museum and Science Center is what I call a traditional museum. It's a brick and mortar building. It's got exhibits inside that when you go in, it's heated in the winter, there's air conditioning in the summer, there's internal bathrooms, right? We know what that is. It has exhibits that contain artifacts. The artifacts are typically stationary, and there's a curator that's responsible for staging these exhibits, so there's a flow, and people can go in and learn something new, right? So we have the Mastodon at the Rochester Museum and Science Center, and you can see the stuffed version and get a perspective of the size of it. What you can get, though, is how it smells, right? What it sounds like, its expressions to you. Now, a living museum is a natural wild area that's undisturbed by man, right? Animals are maintaining themselves. There's nothing the curator should be doing except protecting them, right? Curators should not be rotating the exhibits in and out and staging anything. We don't go in, we don't polish the backs of the turtles so they look good for the visitors, right? We don't do anything. So it's a challenge too because they're moving, whether they're the mammals or reptiles or insects that can go and come as they want, or the temporal things like the flowers that are only available during certain seasons of the year. The purpose, though, of every museum, whether it's a traditional, a living, or heritage museum, is to enable people to explore collections for inspiration, learning, and enjoyment. And that's the purpose of all museums. So I want to now talk about augmented reality and what is it. It's simply taking a digitally made artifact, an image, a video, or audio, and overlaying it in the real world. By the real world is when you look around, this is the real world. We all know where we are in it. In contrast, it's often confused with virtual reality, but virtual reality is very different. You are completely immersed in another world. It's a synthetic world. And you probably have all seen maybe the glasses you wear, you put on your face and you experience something, whether it be gaming or a lot of times it's educational. You can go see the Louvre, right? You can experience the Louvre without taking that nasty plane ride. So I just want to make clear that what we're using is augmented reality because we don't want people walking around the swamp like this, right? That'd be kind of dangerous. Now, I do think there's a place for virtual reality in what we do, and Lee Drake had offered to do some oral history of it, and we could actually make something like this, right? I mean, it looks like Ernest Hemingway, he'd be real popular. And we could sell this. It's like a revenue generation, talking, him teaching or lecturing the history of the swamp. So this is actually a real picture of augmented reality where it's in Singapore, taken from a taxi cab, hopefully it wasn't the driver, and you're seeing cartoon characters, right? Now that's fun. You're only able to see it though if you have an augmented reality browser, like what we were using, on the tablets. There's 3 types of augmented reality that I'm going to be implementing: Vision, Geo, and 360. And what was demonstrated here is the Vision augmented reality. Now, it's all augmented reality, but the experience for the visitor is very different between the 3. Vision augmented reality came out of the printing industry. The books, magazines, posters, right? And you need a pattern, and that's your target or your marker, if you will. So here's an example of a pizza box. So you can put your phone over the pizza box, and the pattern of the box is recognized, and up comes a video of how your pizza was made. In education, it's taking storytelling to another level, and here we have, in a book you have a traditional 2-dimensional picture, but here we can bring it out and it's now 3-dimensional, and the shark can talk and he can swim around. It just makes it more engaging for the child. And little baby dinosaurs running all around your desk, right? Isn't that fun? You need a little brain break, little baby dinosaurs running around your desk. Now it's kind of choppy here. I'm jumping into interpretive material, but it really is important to tying everything together. When we go into a museum, and for example, this is a pottery exhibit, right? We've got many different pottery artifacts. And I have to thank Rich for actually giving me this term. For the longest time, I was struggling with what this is. So these plaques and these little sheets of paper provide more information to the person that doesn't really know what these are, right? Where they were found, what material they're made of, how they were made, were they used for religious, ceremonies. If you were to take all of those interpreted materials away and look at that pottery, there's probably very few people in the world that could identify them and recognize them, right? So when you go to a museum, you want that interpreted material so you can learn what is there. So how do you bring interpreted material into a living museum where things are moving and things aren't always there, right? So this is, where all of you are specialists in the scientific field of botany, of environmentalists, right? So a lot of this you know, but for someone like me who wants to visit it and I don't know what Bergen podium looks like, or I don't know all the birds, right? It's nice to have that material there, and that's what we're going to use Vision augmented reality for, is to add interpreted material to the museum. So this is a demo that I did at our committee meeting.
Here on the wall, an example of one of the markers that's in the Bergen swamp, and what we want to show is how a visitor will come through and see the exhibit, which is going to be using augmented reality. I have here open an augmented reality browser, which will be part of the app. What they do is they tap, the browser will then scan this marker, looking for a match, which we've uploaded. When it finds it, it will begin to load it. When it's loaded, it shows here that it's a slideshow. We tap, the slideshow will open full screen, and the visitor will simply swipe as they would do with any slideshow widget, go through at their leisure, and learn more about what's at this Exhibit 1. So we have up to H here, and we can add videos and others, widgets like links, things like that, and we'll let everybody try this with a hands-on demo today. That's it.
So that's how we'll be using the Vision augmented reality. Now on to Geo augmented reality. For this, we need a physical location, and we use latitude and longitudinal reference. So there's a position we're going to show the augmented reality. There's no pattern or marker, physical marker that you need. You just need to be in that position. This is commonly used in tourism. These are called points of interest, like the little boxes that you see. That's the augmented reality. It's called points of interest, and they're pushed down to geographical coordinate locations. So you can bring your phone up and you can look down the street. If you're in like Shanghai, right? You don't know what's on the street. You can find some place for coffee or shopping or food. Large cities are using that a lot. It's also for utility maintenance. When you have complex utilities in the ground, right? Especially in large cities, you can use augmented reality. This is the water main to find different, whatever you need to find. Real estate, high-end real estate really took this off. You take people up to a tall building, and this is Los Angeles, Paris, New York, cities like that. You stand and you pan around and you can find properties that are available. The penthouse. Which buildings have the penthouse available? It's also in suburban real estate. It's moved to the low-end real estate market also. Now, geo-augmented reality can also be fun. It can be a lot of fun. So this is the project I did with 2 other students in my usability engineering class. We made a candy tracker app, and that's how I got familiar with this technology. So we had to solve a problem, and our problem was how to maximize candy return on Halloween. It's a big problem, right? So we used augmented reality to push down the picture of the candy that a house would be passing out, and a little icon there for the theme. So if your children are 8 and 9 and it's a Jason Mass theme, they can't go there. And that was also a tracker, so we could track the kids. So the parents could be at home and know exactly where all their kids were. We could actually add that into our app so people don't get lost. Or at least if they do, we know where they are. Pokemon is popular. I don't know how many have played it, but we've all heard of it, right? The people walking around with their phones going after these little rats with nice, cute names, Rat-a-tat. But this shows you augmented reality. You see through the phone, the person can see where they are, right? They're not losing perspective of where they are. They're just seeing this little cartoon added to their real world. This is another one where the 2 girls are pretending to be playing with a fairy. Now they can't see the fairy. This is staging. They're staging this, right? Mom's taking pictures and probably choreographing them so she can upload it to Facebook and say, look, the kids were playing with a fairy today, right? It's silly, it's fun. There's some more useful uses for augmented reality in archaeological sites that have been destroyed, either by age, weather, and war. You can bring them back full scale, 3-dimensional, so you can actually walk around them. So, have any of you watched The Naked Archaeologist? He goes and he finds like this little plot of rocks. It just looks like Arizona, right? Rocks. It looks like the top of Mars. He goes, now what was here? And he goes for about 30 minutes, talking about how it was this big structure. And then the last minute of the show, they show the rendering of it. It's like, I need the rendering. I need you to start with the rendering. Because I can't put that together from the rocks you're showing. So I think this is really cool in preserving, historical sites. Again, dinosaurs. Who doesn't want to pet the baby dinosaur? But there is staging here. And the people, because they don't have a browser in front of them, are not actually seeing the dinosaurs. It's the person taking the picture. So they're pretending to be petting the dinosaurs. And we can do this with a docent, right? So a docent at the beginning of the exhibit can be, pretending to be talking to the guide. It might be maybe Steve. And we can choreograph this so there's some funny moments. Another thing we can do is we can bring a mastodon, sorry. I keep saying mammoth, but it's a mastodon, back to the Bergen swamp in 3D and in full scale. I haven't been able to find any ode to mammoth Macedon candles, so we can't bring back the smell. But it's kind of cool, right? This is what we want to be our wow factor. People coming in, they see the mammoth, and we can add audio. And now on to 360 degrees, and that's exactly what it is. You turn around and you get a 360 degree perspective of the space you're in. So this was a fantastic paper. This was my inspiration for this part. It was researched by Morrison and Fulcher, and the paper Applying Augmented Reality to Preserving Industrial Heritage. And this is in Newcastle, Australia. It's actually Merriweather, it's a suburb of Newcastle. 100 years ago, it was a coal dock, right? Now it's residential, suburban, high-end, living. You would not be able to recognize the coal dump that it was. So you have this 360 degree view. You get the whole perspective of the area as it was 100 years ago. The 360 degree view is also going to be replacing the manuals in your car. And this is actually impacting us where I work, right? One nice thing is you can download and update instantly, so nobody knows, right? So if you were to buy a car and you get that brand new car and you have a manual, right, the paper manual, go to set the clock and it doesn't work because the manual is wrong. Who goes gets another manual? And the logistics of the car company finding you to send you a correction, it just doesn't happen. You go online or you take it back to the dealer and they show you. But with this, if there's any kind of mistake, it can be pushed down in real time. Like Netflix, right? I mean, how many of you know what version of Netflix you're on? You don't know anymore. And that's the whole idea, is you should just enjoy the experience of streaming and not have to worry about upgrading it or things like that.